5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Good evening, Misfits. You know, I realize my fucking levels are real high. I was watching the playback from Sid and Friends in the morning, and I was a little loud, but it wasn't too bad. So I think if you guys are in the chat, is anybody here yet? No, nobody's here yet. Did I fucking stream it right? Are we live? Hold on.
You're live.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
live.
you're live.
We're live on YouTube and we're live on X. So maybe people are just slow tonight to get in here. Let me pull this up. All right. Do my videos. Let's see here. Yep, we're live on the delay. No people in here though. That's strange. Usually I get a notification. Yep, I just got it. I just got it 1 minute ago. All right, people will be here. People will be here.
If you build it.
Yeah, I think that maybe people are fucking sick of seeing me. So yeah, this morning you said you know Sid.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times. When I lived in New York, he's cool. He's got a big show.
Yeah, apparently it is. So, oh, there's K Hart. We got somebody in the chat. Yeah. So Stella Escobedo, with OAN. Do you know who she is?
No.
So she's the blonde anchor for OAN. Jewish, awesome lady, and she texts me. So what happened was the yesterday Hamas announced that the babies that they fucking kidnapped are dead. Right? They announced this in November of 2023 also. But they announced it yesterday again. So they were basically people were running under the assumption that they might still be alive because Hamas lies. But I kind of quickly figured that this was Hamas trying to. It would be better if they release the information as opposed to if Israel just finds out. I think that's what their plan was. So anyway, I post about it, and then one or two people, one person that follows me, a supporter, got really upset, messaged me like fucking 5 times. They're like, the family just released a statement. They don't want anyone talking about this because the Israeli government hasn't confirmed it. I'm like, I'm reposting a fucking New York Post article. All right? This is out there. It's news, okay? Like
It's not your fault that people are talking about it. You found it through somebody else.
yeah, and like exactly. I didn't leak information. So
That's the thing is so many people will do that to me on the internet. They'd be like, "Stop giving it publicity." I'm like, it's on Fox News. What do you think? I got the information from a source.
Not only
I posted a fucking headline clip. It's everywhere.
Yeah, but no,
and I want to talk about it because I comment on things.
not only that, all right? Not only that, but who the fuck are you to tell me what I can and can't post? Like that is the easiest way to get me to post something is to tell me not to post it, first of all. But
absolutely every time.
It's fucking insane. Like so, but no. Look, listen. I do feel bad for the family. I'm sure that they're in some sort of denial and they're like, we don't just stop saying that my kids are dead. And I get it. And that's so bad and tragic. But here's the deal, okay? The reason we post, me and you, most of the time, is to get out information that we think people need to hear. Why do we think that people need to hear this information? Well, for me, posting this story is a pressure campaign on Trump and Bibi to say, hey, Trump, are you aware that Hamas's final fucking bargaining chip might be dead? Because if so, if they killed 2 innocent babies, how about you two link up and glass that whole fucking region, right? And I'm sorry that the family lost their children and the husband lost his whole family. It's fucking awful. But again, I'm reposting a New York Post article. So I'm not going to feel bad that I'm contributing to the news getting out I'm sorry. That's it's just not to me. I didn't do anything wrong. But anyway, long story short, Sid posted the same thing. So Sid Rosenberg apparently posted the same thing. Stella sent him my post, and he was like, "Oh, we gotta get this guy on." So I went on this morning, and it was a great conversation.
Yeah, he reposted you or collabed with you on Instagram too, so it was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I'll send you the link for the full article. It's also on this morning's show. I think his audio came in pretty good. I rewatched it. His audio on the show came in pretty good as well. So but yeah, that was this morning, and then Stella hit me up and she goes, "I loved it. I want to bring you on this afternoon." So I went on with her around 3 o'clock. And then somewhere around 5 o'clock, this fucking marble mouth limey cunt who hates fucking Palestine,
Oh,
he's been fucking poking me on X like, you don't know shit about Muslims and you're spreading propaganda. So I went on a space with him. I hate doing spaces, but I went on a space with him. Bro, you have to go watch it was a debate, right? You have to go watch this debate. First of all, I crushed him, obviously, right? But I was warned that this is one of those pro-Palestine, Hamas's resistance, woke virtue signaling white boys that picked up the Quran a week ago. His arguments, right, were it was Hamas in the Quran. It says that you can't kill innocent people, so Hamas isn't terrorists. I was like, wait, what? I go, dude,
seasoned
no,
terrorist.
he says they're resistance. He says that like he's literally throwing every talking point at me. S-
Oh my
So I
gosh.
literally pulled up the quote from the Quran where it says kill people. And he's like, no, that's out of context. And I'm like, the Quran can't it's actually you cannot contextualize the Quran. You have to take it word for word as part of the Muslim doctrine.
Yeah.
It's it's insane debate, but it got even crazier. I told him he told me actually. He said, there have been no instances of rape documented and no firsthand account, even witnesses of rape. And I was like, okay, have you seen the documentary Screams Before Silence? Right? That's if you haven't seen it, it's very hard to watch, but it's very good. Which documents all the rape that happened on October 7th. Right? There are two female hostages that were released by Hamas in that documentary, two that say, yes, I was raped repeatedly, and half the women in captivity were raped. So I said, you watched it? And he goes, yeah, I watched it. And he goes, and all that's been debunked. And I go, okay, there are two women in there that say they were raped. He's like, that's been debunked. And I'm like, how? I go,
Right. You got to tell me how.
did the women recant their statements? He goes, no, no, no. He's like, listen, every single Zionist lies. And I was like, whoa, bro. I go, did you just tell me the reason you don't believe the documentary that has over like 40 witness accounts, all these interviews, all the footage, all the fucking like, and I get it. Some documentaries are made they're made a little bit misleading sometimes, but you have to look at the substance of any documentary and say, okay, what did this person say and did they provide any factual evidence to back it up? And yeah, they did. They provided so much. It's like you can literally see the footage that aligns with their statement. So I said that. He goes, yeah, those women, their credibility is ruined because they're Zionists. Then he goes, anybody who's a Zionist is a liar and the devil. And I go, I'm a Zionist, right? You're talking to the devil. It was fucking. I go, you're on a podcast or you're on a space with the devil. The whole thing was absolutely crazy, and now we're here. So I've done 4 appearances today. I'm very tired. As soon as this fucking podcast is over, my head's hitting the pillow. But let's get into the weekly breakdown. Now, guys, first of all, like and share that button. Second of all, we're doing the new thing here. I got my little timer set up. We're trying to get people over to Rumble because I think Shawn will agree. Rumble is the new and only free speech platform. You can say whatever the fuck you want on here, right? I got a strike on YouTube because I got my new wall mount where I got my anaconda, my gun mounted on the wall, in case anybody breaks in here when I'm doing a podcast, all I did was I showed it on the screen and YouTube immediately took my video down. Um, so YouTube takes people down. X even takes people down. I have never
Good too.
once had a fucking strike on this channel. After all the shit that I've said, done, and shared, I have not gotten one fucking strike on this channel. This right here, Rumble, if you're watching on Rumble, is the only free speech platform. So I'm stealing a strategy from Russell Brand. Whether you like him or not, I don't care. But he used to do a countdown. After a half hour, he would cut the feed on wherever else he was streaming. So if you're watching this on X or YouTube and you want to watch the full show, then you better get over to Rumble. If not, you have 16 minutes of free content. It's still free on Rumble, but the weekly breakdown, what we do is we take the daily breakdowns from Thursday, Tuesday, and this morning, Wednesday, and me and Shawn will run through them and we'll talk about them. The daily breakdown is when I take one of these and I just cover the stories. So we're not going to go into all the details. We're just going to do headlines only, and me and Shawn will rap about whatever we can get out of each headline. So the first one, judge clears the way for tens of thousands of federal workers to take Trump buyout. That remember? Oh, so that was last week. Tens of thousands of civil servants were cleared to take the buyout. You know, I think we might have talked about this already. This is probably a double news thing, but bro, if you if you offered me 8 months severance, right, like to quit my fucking job with the federal government, I'm one of those people, bro. I mean, I don't think I would love my job that much. 8 months, and these people are still bitching.
And while you're getting that, you're allowed to work another job.
Yeah, you can moonlight.
Like, while you work for the government, you're technically not allowed to hold another job.
Yeah.
But I think that part of this buyout is if you've taken this buyout, you can also work another
And
job, even if it's a part-time job, and just throw away
you
money.
double
Like
income.
sock it away, buy Bitcoin.
Double income. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
These jobs need to go. I think I did the math. I did the math on this last week. And I think what I did was I took the average US salary and I divided it. I did I think it was like what, 80% of that would be 8 months or somewhere around 76%, I can't remember. And it came out to like $50,000. It came out to over $50,000 to quit your job if you look at the
Wow.
average. So they're giving these people an average of 50K to quit their job, and they can still go out and get a new job. I mean, we need to get rid of these jobs. The government is too fucking big. And I think it's a very generous thing that Elon and Trump are doing, because they don't have to do it. They can
No,
just
they
fire
don't.
them. They literally can.
Yeah, I could just can
They
them.
can just fire them. They're trying to avoid lawsuits, obviously, right?
Yep.
But they've obviously done the math and they've figured, okay, we got 20,000, 40,000, doesn't matter, and we got to multiply it by an average of 55,000 per employee, comes out to, something, I don't know, what, 200 million dollars that they're paying to get rid of the people that don't want to be there. And they probably figured, hey,
Sounds like that's fine. It's fine by me. Any way we get these people out,
well, think about.
they need to go. There's too much. The government's too big, and I think when Margaret Brennan, she said it to, I think it was Representative Brian Mast of Florida, and he was, talking about USAID and foreign aid and all that, and she said, "Well, it's only 1% of the budget." And with this, okay, so if hundreds of billions of dollars is only 1% of the budget, that means the budget's too
No
big.
shit.
Okay.
But hey, you know what? I
If
love this art.
$100 billion is 1%, okay. If waste some so I could buy alcohol
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah.
right? If wasting 1% is fine.
100,
It's ridiculous.
100 right here. 114,745,400,000 and counting, right? You guys say 1% like it's not billions of fucking dollars. So,
Exactly. They have to try and make it sound small.
but a billion is 1,000 million. Okay, so a billion's 1,000 million. It's 114 of those. Yeah, I think we should fucking give it a shot. Because what's the other argument? What's the alternative? We look, Obviously, the debt clock. Let's look at the debt clock. The debt clock is currently sitting at 36 trillion five
That's
hundred
great.
and 565,000 and counting. So if we're up this, if what we have been doing has gotten us into that mess, don't you think it's time to do something different? I was talking about this last night. I went out with my buddies at the bar. I drank non-alcoholic. I'm still doing my thing, but
Wow, it's February too. You're still doing it.
I
I thought
said
it was just dry
oh
January.
no, I'm doing dry 90. I'm going 90
Oh,
days.
that's right. You did say that. You did say that. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
I'm doing dry 90. And you know what's
Not
fun?
bad.
You know
5 weeks
what's
ago.
a little side note? I sent you this. The lead singer of Disturbed shared my
Yes.
posts. Right, I love Disturbed. I've always been a huge Disturbed guy.
Down with the sickness.
Sound of Silence, I would argue, is the best remake ever created.
It's tied. I'm gonna say it's tied with Metallica. Turn the
Metallica
page.
Turn the Page. There's also Cranberries, that zombie remix, and
Zombie.
there is one more in the running for the top four. Non-Point in the Air Tonight, Phil Collins remix. Those four
Mm,
are all great, but Sound of Silence anyway. So I message him and I would just message him and I go, hey man, I noticed you follow me. If you're ever in San Antonio, I'd love to catch a show. And he was like, April 25th. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So I will be going
sw-
to see Disturbed, and I think I might even meet him. That's awesome. So I will be fully drunk for that.
Yeah.
I I
As you should be.
I will be shit faced for that. I am not quitting drinking forever. It's just a reset. I was explaining this to my buddy last night. I go, I'm going to try to make it a yearly thing instead of dry January, dry 90, right? Because 90 days, it's 3 months out of the year. It's a quarter of the year.
5%.
I want to make a quarter of the year sober, right? And what it'll do is it'll fully detox me. And then the other 8 months where I eat like shit probably, and I get drunk and I get lazy, I can at the beginning of every year I can just go, okay, I'm gonna shave. It's like hibernating for bears. um,
Yes. Yeah.
anyway, so I forgot what the fuck we were talking about, but anyway, next up, Trump wants to substantially Trump wants to cut federal workforce. Same thing. This is a double headline. Next up, surprise. Trump Putin call leaves Ukraine, Europe scrambling for peace talks. Now remember, this is last week. So the peace talk. So Trump and Putin seem like they're really trying to end this war, and Zelensky seems like he's not. Who could have seen this coming? Who could have possibly seen Zelensky not want to end the war after we warned you that the
It's like for I don't know. It's been 2 years
yeah.
that hey, the Constitution of Ukraine. They're like, oh, well, the Constitution
Oh,
says
oh,
there's
you
no
you
elections in
hey, you want to
wartime.
know what's fucked up? I have a
So I'm like,
screenshot for you.
okay, well, that's fine. If wartime, then you have this example, right? Then what incentive is there for Vladimir Zelensky to end the war?
Hold on.
The answer is none.
I have this right here. Okay, so because somebody goes, there's never been an election held in a country where the country was in the conflict. The only reason that we had elections in America was because our soldiers were overseas. Okay, so I decided to ask Rock, have there ever been any countries that have had elections during wartime in their own country? And guess what fucking popped up? Ukraine in 2014. On May 25th, 2014, following the annexation of Crimea by Russia, they had a fucking election. So, bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Not only does it happen in the place that you're saying it can't happen.
Right.
I mean,
It's
hey,
unbelievable.
if you can send fucking bullets to the battlefield, you can send ballots to the battlefield. Figure it the
Yeah.
fuck out. They've done this in many wars. What they do is they send absentee ballots. They have the soldiers fill them out. The general or somebody fucking collects them all. They fucking mail them back, and you count the fucking votes. So I don't want to hear this bullshit about you can't have a fucking election during wartime. All right, fuck you.
Not to mention, let's say, and let's not that obviously that's correct, but not to mention, let's just say the other side is right and you can't have an election during wartime. Then you say, all right, I'm going to concede that to you. What incentive is there for
Hmm.
Zelensky to end the war? He clearly doesn't care that his people are
You know what? You
dying.
know what? I bet you
Or is
Russia.
that by being at war, he's guaranteed to be in power?
Exactly. So it's he's incentivized to create. You know what? I bet you Putin would be cool with though. I bet you Putin would be cool with a ceasefire. I bet you Putin would.
Yeah.
I bet you Putin would be like, hey, you know what? You know what? Why don't we stop the war for 2 weeks while you guys do your election? No firing. I promise. We won't fire. And if I do break this ceasefire agreement, the U.S. can drop a nuke on Moscow. I don't fucking know, but it's just a
But
it's just a
make
dumb
it
argument.
something really contingent. Say if I break the ceasefire agreement, Ukraine can join NATO,
Yeah, there you
right?
go.
I don't want Ukraine to join NATO.
Yep.
Okay. The only thing is you're leaving it open to some false flag where it looks like Russia broke the
Oh yeah.
ceasefire, so Ukraine wants to
Well,
join NATO. So maybe you don't want to play
well,
with
yeah. That's
that.
another because fucking Chernobyl getting bombed. They blamed on Russia. The fucking Nord Stream pipeline they blamed on Russia. Everything they blame on Russia.
That's and that you know Putin can make that concession, but then at the same time, he's giving he he's leaving them apples real ripe for picking. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They could stage something and say Russia broke the ceasefire. Now Ukraine's in NATO, and we could screw ourselves there. So
Yep,
but I can tell you that Putin wouldn't mind a ceasefire. Russia wouldn't mind a ceasefire. The United States wouldn't mind a
dude.
ceasefire. We're the ones spending hundreds of billions of dollars. Putin and Russia spending a lot of money and manpower and resources, military equipment. Ukraine is throwing their people into a meat grinder for the last couple of years. It's almost been 3 years. It's going to be coming up on
I
three
know. We talked
years.
about this morning on.
It's like
Go ahead.
he's the only person that really benefits is the military industrial complex of the United
Hmm.
States and
Yeah,
Zelensky.
and
That's it.
Zelensky just came out today and he says if the United States won't give me any more money, I will he said this. He said this out loud. I will demand 25 bill or 250 billion dollars from Europe. He said I'll demand it. Bro, bro,
Okay, well, go to Europe. You should have done that to
it's a
begin with. They're your neighbors.
it's a fucking get you are making demands of other countries so you can continue a war that you can't win. Like what the fuck is going on? It really is wild, man. I talked about it this morning with Sid. Cuz Sid was like, "What do you think about the war?" And I said, "Okay, what do we get from Ukraine besides mail order brides?" Right? I don't understand why they're an ally. They're not an ally to me, but to me allyship, okay? And I don't know the technical definition, but to me allyship is some sort of reciprocal relationship between two nations. This is not a reciprocal relationship.
It's a parasitic relationship.
Correct. Right? It's not a
You
reciprocal.
highlight what Israel and the United States have in the agreement, where over the last decade we've sent them 37 or $38 billion in
Well,
aid.
Trump says it's 350 billion, right? And he's hyperbolic.
Israel, though, when you talk about the relationships between two countries, right?
Yeah,
So, like everyone said, well, how is Israel an ally? Well,
we
we
make
send them
money
$30 billion a year, but
yep
they
by
spend direct
50
spending,
50.
yeah, 49 or so, right? So you're
Yep.
talking about 1.1 billion over that a
It's
year.
11 yeah, it's
So
11 billion over 10 years. So we make 11 billion over 10 years.
if we're profiting 1.1 billion on average a year on Israel, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, even if it was close to zero, right?
Was a
One thing
break.
that it
At least it's equal.
yeah, but I'm saying
It's
so
symbiotic.
the argument from pro-Ukraine people, right, are all right, they're making the argument that Israel, like, you can actually make this argument against Israel that they're fighting our enemy. Okay, so Ukraine's fighting Putin, who's our enemy. How the fuck is Russia our enemy? I would like to know this because I still don't know how Russia is the United States enemy. Russians don't kill Americans. I mean, they have jailed them when we were stupid enough to go there.
Our
Um,
friends,
I'm not.
but
I'm
they're not our friends, but they're not.
no,
I
no,
wouldn't
no,
call them adversary. Yes,
no, no, no.
enemy.
They're
No.
yeah, they're definitely not our friends. How are they our enemy? I just they meddled in our election. We fucking meddle in our elections. Look, and this is not a pro Putin post. Every time I say this, people are like, "You support Putin." No, Putin's a cunt. All right? Putin's a fucking dictator. He's a piece of shit. But that's their fucking problem. Okay? Like, it's honestly, at this point, it is. Because if you want to try to make the argument, if you don't fight Putin, then Putin will somehow take over Europe and the Middle East and that. Okay, fine. Listen, if he does that, if Putin does that, right, then you slap Putin with some fucking heavy consequences. But the reason why Putin invaded Ukraine was because we fucked with Putin. We literally basically dared him to do something. We sent over Kamala Harris for a fucking meeting with Zelensky about bringing him into fucking NATO after Putin made a statement. If you bring that little cunt into NATO, I'm going to invade that little cunt's country. So, what are we I'm not saying that we're responsible. I'm saying it is Putin that did start the war. But if a bigger country is threatening to invade a littler country, if we do something, maybe we shouldn't do the thing that he said that we shouldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, you called his bluff, and he called it right back.
Yeah.
At that
And
point,
the
he had because if he didn't, he would have looked weak on the world stage. You can't
Head
have
over to
that.
Rumble, people. Get over to Rumble right now because we are done on X and we are done on YouTube. Um okay, moving on. If I can get this. I gotta blow into my mouse like a fucking Nintendo cartridge sometimes.
Nice.
There we go. Fixed it. Nope, didn't fix it.